Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Next is a public hearing on a resolution to approve FY22 transportation fees, charges, and fares. A T&E committee work session will be scheduled at a later date. Persons wishing to submit additional material for the council's consideration should do so before the close of business on April 20th. Each individual will have 2 minutes to speak. Individuals will be alerted as they approach their 2 minutes and may be disconnected. Ms. Kennedy, can you please introduce the speaker?
Yes, I can. Good afternoon. Our speaker for this public hearing is Jane Lyons. Ms. Lyons, you will have 2 minutes and you may begin your testimony as soon as you're ready.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Jane Lyons and I'm speaking on behalf of the Coalition for Smarter Growth, the leading organization in the DC region advocating for walkable, inclusive, transit-oriented communities. First, we urge you to keep bus fares free in FY22. We thank the council for their work to keep fares free throughout FY21 and the pandemic, and we thank Councilmember Glass for his recent memo to the T&E committee requesting that the committee further research three future fare scenarios, including continued free fares. We also commend the county executive for proposing reductions in Metro Rail to ride-on bus transfers, but this does not go far enough. As you know, almost half of ride-on riders have an annual household income under $30,000 and 80% are people of color. We should keep fare money in the pockets of those who need it most and think of free fares as a stimulus for the local economy. Our economy and residents will still be recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic throughout FY22. Free fares is one of the primary objectives of the Montgomery Better Buses Coalition, which includes nearly 30 organizations from across the county, including service providers like Shepherd's Table and Manna Food Center, environmental groups, labor, transit advocates, and more. We believe that Montgomery County can replace fare revenue and continue to improve and expand transit service. Second, we support the increased parking rates for the parking lot districts. These are modest increases, and in fact, we urge you to go further to charge market rate prices for the county's publicly owned parking. The county is committed to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, but we cannot meet our own climate goals and contribute to solving the climate crisis by continuing to subsidize parking. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you very much for your testimony. That is all for speakers for this public hearing, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. Thank you, Ms. Lyons. This public hearing is now closed. We'll have a work session on amendments next to the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission's FY21 to 26 Capital Improvement Program. Then we'll have a presentation on the semi-annual report. Ms. Dunn, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This afternoon, before we start with the semi-annual, we do have the amendments to the FY21 through 26 CIP that were sent from the Planning Department earlier this year. These are the ones that the county executive has also made a recommendation in regard to. You will have recently heard about some state aid funding that was given to MNC PPC that will not be covered today because that has still yet to go to the planning board. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that piece. But this is about looking at the FY22 capital budget and the amended FY21 through 26 capital improvements program. Last year, the council approved the FY21 through 26 CIP for MNC PPC of about $245 million. And the savings plan in FY21 reduced this amount by a little over $528,000. In this off year of the CIP, MNC PPC has sent over an amendment which consists of one new project, one adjustment to an ongoing project, close out of a couple completed projects, technical adjustments, and that about sums it up. It's not a huge change in what they're doing this year. I don't know if the committee chair, Councilmember Reamer, wants to say anything before I continue.
No, please continue. Thank you.
Okay. So the county executive has recommended funding of $222.6 million, which is a $4.9 million reduction from what the agency has requested. Given that, the CE does still support the amendments that were proposed by the Parks Department, and then added 2 additional changes. So the executive recommends a change in the funding source for Ball Fields Initiative Capital Project. Currently, it has funding from the community use of public facilities, current revenue, which we know has been really struggling under the COVID pandemic. So that is being shifted to a GO bond funding source. And the second was that the executive did recommend an affordability reconciliation PDF to reduce current revenue expenditures in FY22 of $485,000, and then a reduction in government obligation bond expenditures in FY23 through 25, totaling $4.4 million. The committee reviewed the planning board's non-recommended reductions to meet these affordability PDFs and the other amendments as well. And I can cover the committee's recommendations to the council. So the first was that the committee supported the approval of increased funding of $2.5 million. It's coming from non-county sources, but for one new project called the Mid-County Park Benefit Payments Project. And so this will collect money from development that will go to the White Flint, Rock Spring, and Grosvenor area for public parks in that location. The next was a request to defer $20 million in revenue bond funding for the Ridge Road Ice Rink Enterprise Facility Project. And again, this points to the challenges that are being faced by enterprise projects in this year and probably the coming year, as we have less attendance at some of the venues that typically rely on the public. The next were some minor technical adjustments to 3 standalone PDFs. This is really just to resolve some inconsistencies that occur in the accounting process based on the time that the numbers are calculated. And that was done in collaboration with the Office of Management and Budget, and they are in support of that. And then the next was to remove 3 project description forms for projects not recommended for funding within the full 6 years of the CIP. Those are listed in the staff report. The committee did approve the CE's recommendation to change the funding source for the ball fields from the community use of public facility current revenue source to the general obligation bonds for FY21 and 22. And then the board reviewed the reductions that the planning board had put forth to satisfy the reconciliation PDF with respect to current revenue. So that was a $485,000 decrease over 9 projects. To satisfy that reconciliation PDF funding source decrease. And the result of that was really that it provided level funding between FY21 and 22. So the Parks Department had very strategically looked at where these cuts would probably be the least problematic. They took small amounts from 9 different projects. They were able to satisfy the $485,000 decrease, and the committee then supported that recommendation. And the last was probably the one discussed the most and the one with the most impact, which was the CE's recommendation for a $4.4 million decrease in GO bond funding between FY23 and FY25. And so the board again brought forth what they would recommend as the optimal way for them with their programs to find those reductions, and the council reviewed all of those proposed ways to meet that. And they agreed with the handful that were delaying for just 1 year, Wheaton Regional Park improvements, and delaying for just 1 year the South Germantown Cricket Field project, and also delaying some legacy open space funding to FY26. But what they didn't support was a recommendation that would have reduced ball field funding by $1.5 million, and the Blair High School Field and Lights project also reduced by $1.5 million. So those were not supported by the committee. So the reconciliation PDF amount recommended by the CE was not fulfilled in total by what the committee is recommending. And the one last thing was we received this after the committee had met, was the board sent over a request to remove the Circle Manor project from the pending closeout list. There is now support and investment in some housing that will be placed on that park property to keep it running and adaptive reuse. I think that covers everything.
Thank you, Pam. That was the committee's recommendation.
Thank you, Fed Chairman. Councilmember Friedson.
Yes, thank you. I will say there are so many things during this past year that have been really tough about being in local office and serving on the county council, but being the parks lead has been the best job I've had all year. And it really has proven and demonstrated how much folks in Montgomery County rely on our parks. I think they have relied on our trail system and our parks more than they ever have, as so many other mental health and exercise and well-being and escapes have been limited. They have provided a refuge to so many people. The 275 miles of trails, the 422 parks, even the parks that were restricted in the type of activities that could be utilized there. And it's just been a credit to everybody on the parks team. I want to thank you, Mr. Riley, and thank the Park and Planning Commission, but most importantly, thank the hardworking parks team. Councilmember Glass and I were out on Little Falls Parkway together, and socially distanced, I will say, and got to experience them moving the partitions. I've seen them on the trails. They even let me destroy a trail that they had been working on with a mini excavator until I walked away, and they fixed it without me seeing it, and to make me feel better that I actually contributed in some form or fashion to the trail. So I just was hoping for you to convey our appreciation. It's been a tough year for all of us, but the work that they do, the support that they provide, the quality of life that they create has been critical, and just wanted to take this opportunity to express my personal appreciation as somebody who has gone on a lot of hikes over the past year, and also as a council member. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone, for this work. I would like to understand a little bit more about the 1-year delay for the Wheaton Regional Park improvement, the $250,000, and just basically the rationale behind that particular recommendation, and what do you think will be the impact, given that the community has been very excited about this this particular project, and I know the planning board and staff has been great in engaging the community. I know that board member Natalie Fanny Gonzalez has done a lot of work in that area as well. So can you just talk a little bit about that particular item?
I'm not sure if Mike is on the call, but I believe that. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, as you know, Councilmember Navarro, we're in the thick of re-looking at the Wheaton Regional Park Master Plan. We're getting a ton of positive energy and input about the future of that wonderful 400-acre park. And we feel that as soon as we complete the master plan, we're going to need to reassess where the priority investment goes, and we do envision significant investment going in that park as soon as we get the master plan done and throughout the entire 6-year program. So as much as we hate deferring or cutting any funding, we felt that this was work that was conceived in advance of the master plan and may not reflect what comes out in the initial phases and the initial priority of the master plan. But we fully presume once that master plan is complete to have phased implementation of the most important phases and to aggressively pursue as much funding we can get for it.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Thank you for that approach also. I think it is important because, as you said, there's a lot of excitement and there's a lot, I think, of interest and providing feedback to see what can be done to make that park even better, because it's an extraordinary place. I appreciate that clarification because, of course, immediately community members are asking, exactly what does this mean? And it's important to let them know that actually what this will do is to take into consideration the feedback and not already sort of conceive what needs to happen. So I appreciate that clarification. Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other requests to speak. We have a recommendation from the Fed Committee. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Terrific. Those amendments pass unanimously. Okay, now we can have a presentation on the semi-annual report. Again, Ms. Dunn.
Thank you. As you know, the council twice a year gets a semi-annual report from the planning board. You will hear from both the Parks Department and the Planning Department. They each have a PowerPoint presentation that will walk you through their major accomplishments for the past 6 months to a year, depending on when they, what they're focused on. This is always done in the spring in anticipation of review of their operating budget, and for the planning department for their setting their work program as part of the operating budget. So just to give you some context, you do, as a council, always get the semi-annual, and it does come just before the operating budget for the planning and parks departments. With that, I'm gonna put the parks is going first. Is that correct?
Yes, I just have a couple slides and then we'll go to Mike.
I will get that up so that you can.
Okay, thanks for having us. I think we have at least a couple of planning board members in the call, including Natalie Fenton-Gonzalez, and I believe Parthak was logging in. I'm not sure if everybody's in yet, but perhaps if there's an opportunity, they might want to say a word or two at the appropriate time. I just wanted to kick it off by saying first that we're very proud of the fact that we've continued doing business and doing the work that we are responsible for handling during the pandemic. As you know, we did not miss any planning board meetings, even when the initial lockdowns occurred, and we've been very successful at running meetings by video conference and telephone. I know a lot of people have questioned whether or not we could have adequate public participation during a pandemic, so I'd asked our administrative staff to put together the numbers on how many people we had testifying at planning board meetings from March of last year to the present, or rather to April 1, and for the year period before that. And you see this chart shows the data. The most important number I think you'll find is that number for community participants, and you can't see the exact number there, but it is 452 members of the community testified at planning board hearings by Microsoft Teams or by telephone at meetings last year versus 355 the year before. Obviously, the more controversial and biggest items attract a disproportionate share of the participants. We told you at our last semi-annual that we had 85 people testify at the public hearing on Thrive Montgomery, and I think that really speaks well to not only the fact that we have offered the opportunity for participation, but we've been effective at getting people out and actually taking advantage of the technology and using it. We've had our IT staff working with people who are not familiar with how to log in or call in, and I think we've been very successful at getting people involved in the process. We've got some more data. I'm about to post a blog post about this, and we'd be happy to provide you with more statistics, but I think this is the highlight. Next slide. Which I believe will cover development applications. We have not seen any appreciable slowdown in development. There we go. 795 applications submitted over the last year versus 712 the year before. There's some differences in the types of applications and their complexity, so I wouldn't draw too many conclusions just looking at this data by itself, but I think it speaks to the fact the good news is that real estate development has remained in process, and we have been able to process those applications, approve them where appropriate, and position these projects to move forward. Many of them are actually under construction. Construction was an essential service during the pandemic, so it didn't stop many of these projects from going forward. And to the extent that some of them may have been delayed, they're queued up and ready to go as the economy hopefully recovers over the next several months. And with that, I think I will turn it over to, we might have one more slide here that just has a few more data points, but I won't belabor that. It just further amplifies what I said a minute ago, which is we have got actually quite a lot of participation in all of our public meetings and processes. And there's Natalie up there. I see her on the screen. And as Councilmember Navarro just mentioned, she's been involved in a number of these, including the Wheaton Regional Park outreach, the Silver Spring Master Plan, and some of those other projects in addition to Thrive and the day-to-day work that we do in the planning board meetings. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mike to talk a little bit about what we've been doing with the Parks Department.
Thank you very much, Casey. So your opening photograph here is what we call warm-up days. It was part of the Picnic in the Park program. This is at Acorn Park, which is one of the more popular venues. I cannot absolutely confirm that those are adult beverages in those solo cups, but they could legally be. We created the Picnic in the Park program in partnership with Visit Montgomery to support our local restaurants. We've been running it in 9 parks since September. I'm very pleased to say, despite concerns about the allowance of alcohol in the parks, we have had no reported problems. People have behaved appropriately, and then we added the warm-up days over the winter months where guests could register for their own fire pits, and we would provide the chairs, the fire pit, the firewood, and the kindling, and the staff to assist with starting the fire. We sold out every event, and we generated $1,600 in revenue. Not a ton of money, but every penny counts. But my main point to make here is we've allowed alcohol and fire in the parks, and nobody has been hurt. Next, please. So this is just our infographic that we update constantly to show what's open and closed. Of course, the list of what's closed is shrinking. The next to open will be our nature centers on a limited basis in our park activity buildings. Of course, recognizing the current health orders. Most recently, we've opened the train and carousel in Wheaton Regional Park. We reinstalled the basketball rims towards the end of March and the first week of April when the health order no longer considered basketball a high-risk sport. And of course, our athletic fields are open for spring sports under the 50-person outdoor gathering limit. Next, please. So our open parkways have been extremely popular even during the winter months. We continued the open parkway on Beach and Sligo. During the winter, Little Falls was temporarily suspended until we could get some gates installed to make it a little less labor intensive, and I'm pleased to announce we did that and got Little Falls resumed on Saturday, March 27th. Throughout the winter months on Beach and Sligo, we had 90,000 users according to our trail counters, which is a little bit down from the warmer weather, but still a pretty good number, and I'll talk a little bit more about our trail counters in a future slide. We do plan to keep these parkways going for the foreseeable future, and our total visitation since we started just about a year ago is 624,000 users. Next slide just shows the maps of the parkways. I won't go over them, but it's a little bit more than 6 miles across Sligo Beach and Little Falls of open parkway. Little Falls is open Saturday at 7 a.m. through Sunday at 6, and Beach and Sligo from Fridays at 9 a.m. through Sunday at 6. So we created, you're all probably very familiar with the Park and Rec Guide. That's a magazine that's been published on a biannual basis over the decades. We're pleased to announce that we're moving to an all-digital build-your-own-guide tool, which will go available at the end of this month. We believe this is going to be superior to the printed guide, and it's going to allow users to build their own guide and select their own program categories, locations, and ages that are of their interest, and then see what programs across park and recreation are available. We will print the guides at our facility for those who are still would like a paper product. And the main news here is we're going to save a lot of trees, save about $128,000 a year between printing and other costs, and hopefully provide a better experience for the users. This will be rolled out on our current system, Active Montgomery, but as you know, we are upgrading to a new and improved version of our online registration system for Cup, Rec, and Parks that'll be rolled out this fall, and we expect that to be a great improvement to the current system. So next, I want to brag about our small but mighty program access team. They assure that every person, regardless of abilities, gets to enjoy our facilities and our programs. They stayed very busy even though facilities closed, and programs were canceled. They developed virtual programs called fun shops on YouTube. They sent fun kits to participants. They developed and launched an outreach campaign to enhance the use of adaptive equipment, including fishing equipment, adaptive golf tees, gardening equipment, and they worked very closely with our nature centers to modify nature programs that offered new programs specifically designed for youth and adults with disabilities. And most recently, they developed a new walking program called Montgomery Explorers, which launched on April 1st. It is a program designed for residents age 50 and better, not 50 and older, 50 and better. So I'm very proud about how they've continued to assure access to our programs while there was a time of closure. Next is the Henson Museum. I have a very brief video at the end, a walkthrough video. I'm thrilled that the construction is now complete. You know, we had to postpone a public ribbon cutting in December because of the health order limits, but I'm very pleased several of you have had VIP tours and put accolades out there about a really positive experience. This project couldn't be coming on at a better time. We do plan to open to the public on April 23rd, and when we do, visitors will purchase admission tickets online using Active Montgomery, and we will control time slots to meet the current health orders. But I will be very pleased, if time allows, to show you a very brief walkthrough videos for those of you who have not experienced yet. But it is just an incredible project, the most important I think I've worked on during my career. So the next slide is about data. You've heard the Chair Anderson and I say one of our main goals is to manage the parks increasingly by data, and we're very focused on using various technologies. It's really important to know how many people and who is using our park for a host of reasons, including measuring the impact of events, new amenities and renovations, determining why parks may be underutilized and making adjustments, just understanding peak visitation times so that we can spread out use, and much, much more. We're using several different technologies. We did a special project with George Mason University where they collected data at 4 parks throughout August through October 2020. That's the data you see up there about Black Hill Regional Park. We are using trail counters. There's 2 different technologies we're using, something called an eco counter and another one called Traffics. That photo on the left is an eco counter we just unveiled last week at the Capitol Crescent Trail, which shows bicyclists on one side and pedestrians on the other. We also use portable cameras with sensors to measure usage at tennis courts if we want to, say, repurpose an underutilized tennis court so we know how many people are using it. And then on the next slide, just talk very briefly about how we're using what's called big data or streetlight data. It's based on cell phone technology, and this is a map where the red and orange shows substantially increased use in 2020 over 2019. You won't be surprised to see a lot of that increased uses in the stream valleys where the trails and parkways are. And just to give you orientation from right to left, the rightmost orange line is northwest, and then as you see in the center, you see Rock Creek with the orange at the bottom and the red at the top, and then in the lower left you see Cabin John. So overall, across 312 of our parks where Streetlight has complete data between 2019 and 2020, which is a pretty good sampling of our parks. We had over a 50% increase in utilization as people needed to get outdoors and exercise during the pandemic. Next slide is thank you for approving Legacy Urban Space. It's our commitment to make sure that we not only have great suburban and rural parks, but we have great parks in the parts of our county that are highly populated and are going to continue to grow. When you approved Legacy Urban Space, you funded an initial $18 million of hopefully an ultimate $150 million investment so that we can have vibrant walkable parks in our population centers. The next evolution of this, you're going to hear from Director Gwen Wright about our new and improved and advanced equity mapping tool that we're using, and that will become an overlay of our Energized Public Spaces tool, where we look for the highest areas of needs for parks in our population centers. I won't go through all these projects that are on the screen. I think you're familiar with them, that we are making a lot of progress, and we're staying hyper-focused on this challenge of how we provide these great, vibrant, walkable spaces in our population centers. Next, just a little bit about stream restoration. I know that you probably have seen some communications coming into you questioning the value of stream restoration as part of our countywide water quality goals. I've talked to DEP Director Adam Ortiz, and we're both pretty aligned that stream restoration, when done properly, still plays a major role in meeting our water quality goals. The photo on the left is a project where we had an eroded bank in a park from a public storm drain, a DOT storm drain in Edith Throckmorton Park in Kengar, and we designed a solution and DOT implemented it. And it's exemplary of the type of partnerships we have with these different agencies. And this one was really important to get done now because we have an upcoming park refresher at Edith Throckmorton. And if we hadn't done it now, we would have to damage the new park infrastructure to get to this location. And the other one is the Grosvenor Stream restoration that we are doing on behalf of the county. This project is complete. If you look carefully in the upper right picture, you can see an exposed Washington gas line where that bank had totally eroded away. It's just kind of hanging in the air. So we did Washington Gas a favor and stabilized that bank and reburied the gas line. And I will come back in the fall when we have prettier pictures after all the vegetation grows in and shows to be a more naturalized, stable stream bank where one had become destabilized and eroded. Next project I want to highlight is Kengar Stream, Kengar Field and Wetland Restoration. It's another example how we often partner with different agencies. If you don't know Kengar, it's right off of Beach Drive between Knowles Avenue and Wexford Road. It features several amenities, including a soccer field. If you look at that picture in the upper left, you can see Mother Nature overtook our efforts in a wetland, and the soccer goal was out in the wetland. So when MTA needed to do mitigation, we brought them in, and they did a great project that's growing in now, where they created 1.6 acres of new wetland and they enhanced 2 acres of degraded wetland. They built us out a new pad for a soccer field, and then we came in with our great ball field team and finished the construction of the soccer field. So I think this is just another good example of how we try to find win-win solutions with other agencies when other public policy objectives need to be met. Another one I want to highlight is Nolte Community Garden. Our community garden program's in its 12th year now. We're serving over 500 residents, but we have long waiting lists. This was a good example of repurposing something that when we have a new need in parkland we used to have a much easier time of just going finding ground that was available. Now we're repurposing a lot of facilities based on higher needs. So we had an old park activity building here, which had reached end of life. We worked with the community to get general consensus that it should come down. So we demolished it and we put up 18 community gardens on raised beds. This is a different model than our other gardens in that it's 100% accessible for those who have any types of physical disabilities. And we're going to continue to push forward and try to grow this program across the county. I am giving the planning board on Thursday a more comprehensive briefing of the program if anyone is interested. So I'll just touch on the next slide on our native plant program. You gave us a position through the reconciliation process several years ago to have a dedicated person to run a native plant program at our Pope Farm Nursery. We've been growing our production every year. The plants are used throughout the park system, but predominantly to meet our NPDES goals and plant stormwater facilities. We do have partnerships with other agencies like DEP's Rainscapes program, and it's really important that we've been able to grow these plants because they're not always readily available, and we can assure quality And this is just one of many examples throughout my presentation where you gave us resources throughout the budget reconciliation process, and we put it to good use and have good results to brag about. Moving on to athletic fields, really thrilled that you gave us funds to improve the field at the White Oak Rec Center. You know we're deep into improving the school fields. This was our first foray into approving a county-owned field, so we went in and gave it a complete renovation. I'm pleased to say we'll have a field opening on June 6th. It'll be ready to open to the public. It is Bermuda grass, which should be thriving as soon as the temperatures get a little bit warmer. I do want to highlight that this project, once we got into the details, turned out to be a little bit more expensive than we thought, but thankfully, because you have funded the ball field initiative programs year after year, we were able to use some of those funds to augment the additional costs and get it done and build a quality fields. The two on the right, I won't talk about. They're MCPS fields, but as you can see, we're continuing to improve the elementary fields. These two happen to be in the center, Harmony Hills Elementary School and Aspen Hill, which got a Bermuda grass treatment. And on the right, you have Steadwick Elementary School in Montgomery Village. So we're steadily making our way to complete all of the elementary schools. And on the next slide is about meeting new needs. This is a cricket pitch. We had an underutilized field at Gunners Branch Park, and we went in and installed a cricket pitch in the center for youth cricket. And as you can see from the social media posts there, it is much appreciated by the community that it serves. Then lastly, on athletic fields, we continue to buy the latest and greatest equipment. This is called a rotodarian. It does the work that used to require multiple machines and a lot of manual labor. It does sod cutting, tilling, rock picking, debris removal, and surface leveling. As you could see, it leaves a nice bed to either put down sod or new grass seed. I've had a lot of people ask me if I can bring this to their front yard, and unfortunately I have to say the answer is no, but according to our field expert Cliff Driver, he believes that this gives us about a 300% increase in efficiency in how we used to do this years ago to how we can do it today when we have to do a major field renovation. So another example of when you give us resources, we try to put them to the most efficient use possible and stay on top of the latest and greatest tools and technology. And moving on to trails, this is the South Germantown Bike Park out at the Soccerplex. We have a partnership there with Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiasts to operate and maintain this park. They're a trail advocacy and building group in the Mid-Atlantic region. They worked with us to install some more complex elements for the more experienced riders out at the park. And we're very thrilled of our partnership with them. As you can see from the heartwarming accolade there on social media, that when we have these unique facilities that maybe everyone in our county doesn't use, there's quite often a very passionate group who it means a lot to, and this is a good example of one of them. So thank you to Mid-Atlantic Off-Road Enthusiasts for working with us to make this improvement. And then lastly, the big news on natural surface trails. I think Chair Anderson challenged me and our trail crew several years ago to hit 200 miles when I think we were at about 160. We did it this year with the construction of the Paint Branch Trail, which is the one depicted in the map there, and crossed 200 miles, which we're thrilled about. And then we were also thrilled that when REI recently did an article about how important it is to cities across the country to provide bike trails close into the high population areas, that they actually called out Montgomery County and gave us accolades for what we are doing. And this is compared to some of the major cities across the US. So we're very thrilled to see that. Now, my last group of slides, I am winding down, I promise, is about how we actively seek resources to support our parks. We're so thankful for the county's tax-supported funding that you can allocate towards the parks, given all the other pressures you have, like education and transportation. But we know it's not going to be enough, so we go out and do everything we can to find additional resources. So I'll brag about Our Park Foundation, you see some numbers there. I do want to welcome 5 new board members, some of which you will know. Devin Ellis, Trish Heffelfinger, Sean Jenkins, Emery Linder, and Aruna Miller. I know you know some of those names from the great community service those people have already brought us. In addition to what you see on the slide, just to tell you some other things the foundation does you might not know about it, they facilitated the donation of a trained bloodhound to the Montgomery Park Police. They bought the eco counter I just showed you on a previous slide for the Capitol Crescent Trail. They administered funds and oversaw the completion of the Outlook Terrace at Brookside Gardens. If you haven't been to the Visitor Center lately, you're going to be surprised when you look out that window and see a brand new terrace that'll be very popular for gatherings and weddings, complete with a beautiful stone fire pit. They installed pavers along the Footsteps for Freedoms to generate money for the Henson Museum. And late breaking news, they're about to receive a $400,000 bequest from a donor at Brookside to do additional improvements there. So they really chugged along during the pandemic, and I need to thank them. Another way we generate resources, as you know, is through public-private partnerships. We have about 40 of them and counting. I'll just highlight 2. Meadowbrook Stables just completed a brand new covered stable at the arena that we worked with them on. It was a $1.5 million investment that they totally contributed. We did not have to submit any tax-supported resources other than staff time to work with them, and it's a beautiful arena. I think it turned out great, and it's going to help ensure their financial viability going forward and allow them, of course, to conduct programs now, even if it's rained and the rings are wet. And on the right, something brand new that I think is really cool. Our partner Bethesda Community Baseball Club that operates the Shirley Povich Field at Cabin John has procured a donor for a bronze statue. It's going to be the famous sports journalist Shirley Povich sitting on a bench interviewing the famous baseball player Walter Johnson, also known as the Big Train, who the team is named after, and we have a high school named after. And it's going to be cast by a renowned artist named Toby Mendez. His work, among many other prominent installations, includes the Thurgood Marshall Memorial at the State House in Annapolis, and also the Baltimore Oriole greats that are in the field at Camden Yards. So we're very pleased to get this wonderful amenity added to an already wonderful amenity by our partner at no cost to the taxpayers. The last thing I want to add on partnerships is knowing that a lot of them lost revenue during the pandemic. We did make sure that no one went under. We provided almost $300,000 in rent abatement that is going to be forgiven if they could prove to us that they lost revenue during the pandemic. So we're trying to be the best partner we can during difficult financial times. And then program open space, we would not have the great system I'm bragging about today if it were not program open space. It was established back in 1969 by the state. Whenever anybody buys a house or land, a 0.5% property transfer tax is collected, which funds the program. And I'm really happy to announce that the General Assembly fully funded it this year. $8.8 million will come to Montgomery Parks. Over the last few decades, there's been times where that funding source has been diverted for other purpose, but it seems in Annapolis there is a renewed commitment to it lately, and I'm very thrilled of it. This is just a few of the projects it's benefited from, and I would say more parks probably have benefited from program open space than have not over the decades. And as you can see, that staggering number there, since its inception, we've received $213 million from the state. And sticking with the good money news, this was just too good to believe. We had to keep checking every day. We were hearing coming out of Annapolis, but it is real. We're going to get a $10 million capital grant to continue construction of the Power Line Trail and the Pepco right-of-way between Germantown and Cabin John. As you know, this is something we started with a 6-mile natural surface trail down towards the Germantown way. This is going to allow us to build a significant portion of the paved trail. That photo there pictures former county council member Dave Scull, who was absolutely instrumental during the Pepco Exelon merger talks to get this precedent-setting project in the works, and I need to thank him for that. He always self-refers to himself as the oldest living mountain biker, so I can say that without, those are his words, not mine. So thank you, Moore and Dave, and thank you to our state, to Mark Corman and all of our state Montgomery County delegation for helping bring this home. I know Councilmember Friedson, I think, was involved in the conversations on this as well, so I just can't say enough thank yous. And then on top of that, we've been each year for probably 7 or 8 years approaching different districts for what we think are important bond bill projects in our parks. This is the first time that we pursued bills in every one of the 7 districts across the state. Never in our wildest dreams did we think that we would get funding in each of the 7 districts, but we did, to the tune of $1.6 million. You see the projects here. We tried to spread them across the county. We used our equity lens in determining some of these projects and prioritizing them. And again, thank you to our Montgomery County delegation of the Maryland General Assembly for bringing a lot of money to our parks during this session. And my last group to thank for bringing resources to the parks is our volunteers. Even though the numbers were down due to health restrictions during the pandemic, you could see they're very, very impressive. I do want to introduce our new volunteer coordinator, Valeria Espinoza. Our volunteer coordinators are very famous out in the community because they work with so many different passionate people. So I know there will be a lot of people, if they don't already know Valeria, will get to know her well over the next year. So that's it for the parks. So as you can see, it's all hands on deck. Here's our park maintenance worker and our chair showing the gamut of the park staff out there putting up the rims. So thank them all. And if you'll allow me 2 more minutes, we will close with a 2-minute walkthrough video of the Henson Museum before we go on to Director Wright.
Welcome to the new Josiah Henson Museum and Park. A visitor's experience begins here with the newly constructed Visitor Center, where they're greeted by staff in the gift shop, which features a timeline mural based on the life of the Reverend Josiah Henson. Visitors then move from the lobby to the 80-person auditorium, which features a 12-minute orientation. This film provides an overview of Reverend Henson's life during the 19th century. Exiting the film, visitors are directed to the historic Riley Bolton House. The house now features multimedia exhibits exploring Henson's life. You'll see our archaeological artifacts are also key components of the exhibits throughout the museum. So we move through the historic house galleries. 2 of our most important historic artifacts are the desk and chair belonging to Isaac Riley, the former owner of the plantation, and Henson and his family's enslaver. Continuing on through the last gallery space on the first floor, we will see comparisons in this computerized interactive between Henson's autobiography and Harriet Beecher Stowe's fictional novel. We also have a collection of 19th century publications of both Uncle Tom's Cabin as well as Henson's autobiographies. Exiting onto the screen porch as we make our way around the historic house to the 1850s log kitchen. Only the first floor of the historic house has exhibits. You'll see one of the most recent archaeological excavations, a 19th century farm roadbed, which has recently been discovered. This area focuses on the life of the enslaved. We see the restored hearth and a partially installed loft, and would have been an area where the enslaved would have slept in a space where they also worked. And you have an opportunity for visitors to play a variety of different narratives of the 19th century. Where we leave you is from the view of the largest excavated area on site, the foundation of a structure which we believe to be the overseer's house. now overlooking Josiah Henson Museum and Park.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that terrific presentation. Ms. Wright, are you next?
I am next, and we have another PowerPoint. I have to say that, Mike and I always sort of take turns each year. One goes first and the other goes second. And we always dread being in the second place because we've worn you out with the first presentation. So everyone take a deep breath and we'll try to go through the planning presentation relatively quickly so that we can have an opportunity for questions. Next slide. So our biggest project that we want to report on is Thrive Montgomery. Nearly 3 years ago, the council assigned us this project, and we took it on, and we committed to a very strict schedule of trying to do a project and get it to you on time, but with a great deal of outreach and input from all of the residents of our county. Well, I'm pleased to say that we've accomplished it. The planning board had their final vote on last Thursday on the planning board draft of the plan, and it is being transmitted as we speak to you all for you to take it up as a public hearing and work sessions this summer. From an early point, we identified three big goals or objectives: economic competitiveness, racial and social equity, and environmental sustainability. And through our working draft, our public hearing draft, our planning board draft, those objectives, that overarching framework has remained the same. Next slide, please. What we have done is we've organized the public hearing draft into, the planning board draft into 6 chapters. And those 6 chapters cover sort of the big ideas, the big ideas and things that we think need to be our focus if Montgomery County is going to continue to thrive over the next several decades. First is compact growth, which really relates to corridor-focused development. Complete communities, which relates to really having a mix of uses. This is the 15-minute living idea where people can actually live, work, and play without having to drive long distances. And we have communities that really are, we embrace the importance of place and that they are complete communities. Including transportation and communication networks, figuring out how we tie together with all kinds of modes, whether it be vehicular, bicycle, pedestrian, transit, and as we've all learned during the pandemic, communication, virtual communication. We have to have all of those modes in order to keep us a connected web of communities, and they're all extremely important. The next slide, please. The next 3 chapters relate to affordable and attainable housing, and in this regard, as we've said many, many times, we need more of everything. We need to have many different approaches to making sure that we solve our housing crisis. We need preservation. We need production of market rate housing. We need production of affordable housing that is targeted to a variety of income groups. We need accessory dwelling units. We need other kinds of attainable housing, such as missing middle. It is not just one strategy. We need more of everything. We want to focus on design, art, and culture. One of the things that's really important is Montgomery County does have a history. It has a whole variety of great places. It has a lot of culture. It has a lot of fascinating people and quirky, fun places to visit. And we need to build on that. And we have made a big effort to look at placemaking, but we need to really bake that into everything we do in the future. And then, of course, you know, we've just heard a lot about parks and recreation. It really is about healthy living, about how to get people out of their houses, about how to get people into nature, about how to get people recreating. And that's tied in with our placemaking as well. One of the things with each of the sides is that all 6 of them relate to our 3 core goals of a great economy, equity, and environmental sustainability. Each of these 6 chapters talks specifically about how they are going to help accomplish those goals and lays out metrics so that we can measure whether we're achieving that accomplishment. We are very, very proud of the outreach that we have done and that we're continuing to do. Again, this slide lists some of the things that we've done. We've had literally 166 meetings and still counting because we're still doing more meetings with the community about this plan. We have done a robust virtual kind of outreach with web page views, on-demand videos. We've had a lot of, we've used everything from on-demand videos to Twitter storms to, when we were in-person meetings all around the county. I think the result of all of this is reflected in the fact that there were 85 residents who testified during the planning board public hearing on this plan. It was a lot of testimony. In addition, we got hundreds of pages of testimony, which our staff went through and literally responded to each and every written piece of public testimony and provided those written responses to the planning board. The planning board had 10 work sessions on this plan and made, again, significant changes in sort of how to frame and how to express a lot of the goals that we've been talking about. But the basic premise, the basic foundation was pretty well reflected in the working draft and the public hearing draft, and the planning board has made it stronger. And they have focused on things like metrics to really measure how we're going to achieve these goals. So you're going to be seeing this document any minute, and I hope that you are as pleased with it as we are. I think we're going to have a great discussion with the council about it through the summer, and hopefully it will be approved and ready to build on in the next few months. Next slide, please. In the meantime, as I always like to say, we are not just writing the Thrive Montgomery plan, we're trying to begin to put it into reality. We're trying to start doing some of our planning using the ideas in Thrive Montgomery. And I always call it, we're running and chewing gum at the same time. So one of the plans where we're really doing that is the Silver Spring Downtown and Adjacent Communities Plan. And we have been working very closely with the community in Silver Spring through what we call the visioning phase, where we've had some virtual workshops. And we're also using great resources like this MC React map, where people can text in comments about something they may see in downtown Silver Spring. We've heard from over 500 stakeholders so far, and we're hearing from more. We really appreciate working with Vice Chair Natalie Fanny Gonzalez, who has been helping us with some of our outreach. We had a listening session in Spanish just this week, and she helped us dramatically with that. And just going out and talking to people in the community about what they're looking for in the future of Silver Spring. So this project is very much in process. We are going to be working through the summer to continue to work with the community on visioning, on developing recommendations. We're probably going to be going to the board in the fall, ideas, a working draft, and then take it through the planning board, public hearing, and work session process. So you all will not be seeing this for a number of months, but I did want you to know that we are out there working and that we are definitely trying to use a lot of both the lessons learned about outreach that we found in Thrive Montgomery, but also the big framework of Thrive Montgomery focusing on our core goals. Next slide, please. The next plan, which is really just beginning, just went to the board to discuss the scope of work, is the Fairland and Briggs Cheney plan. And we're really excited about this plan because it is going to be truly a corridor plan. It is going to focus on the corridor that is served by our new BRT system, Flash. It is going to focus on preserving and providing attainable housing at all income levels. It is going to focus on equity and safety through trying to make sure to adhere to some good Vision Zero principles and make our roads and sidewalks safer. And as I think you may know, it is a location that has some of our most important equity focus areas. And so this plan, central to this plan, is going to be a focus on racial equity and social justice. We're very fortunate to be partnering with the University of Maryland PALS program. They're going to be helping us in the fall semester by focusing an entire design class on the Fairland Briggs Cheney plan and helping us think through some of the issues. We're also going to be doing a spring speakers series that's going to focus on a number of equity issues that are going to lead into some of the discussions that we anticipate in the Fairland Briggs Cheney plan. So you're going to be hearing about the details of that very, very soon. Next slide, please. We're also working on a project that the council has assigned us about attainable housing strategies. And the council in early March did send us a letter asking us to look at a lot of the missing middle ideas missing middle housing ideas that were being discussed. And we really do appreciate the council's request to us to sort of step back and take a very data-driven, logical look at this important issue about not just missing middle housing, which is sort of the more house-sized kinds of housing, but really corridor housing and other kinds of attainable housing strategies. So we have put together a advisory group. We've had a number of kickoff meetings with the community and listening sessions. We are committed to doing very robust outreach and hearing people's ideas. We have actually contracted with Opticos Design, which is the firm that coined the term missing middle housing, to help us talk to folks about what missing middle housing is and what it is not. And that's been very helpful. We've done some educational sessions for the community on sort of missing middle 101 with support from Opticos Design. And we have, I think, a lot of good dialogue moving forward. We're going to be getting our thoughts together and get those to you by the end of June so that soon after you finish your work on Thrive Montgomery, you can take this topic up And we are, I think we're excited that there will be some good ideas and recommendations coming out of this. Next. Through all of this, you've heard me talk about sort of our equity agenda for planning and how we are trying to integrate the issue of equity into our all of our projects. And I know we've made a presentation to you on this, but I wanted to give you an update on some of the work that we are doing specifically. I mean, we have done a great deal of staff training on the topic. And we have actually created a staff-led equity peer review group. So we have a group of staff people in the planning department from many different parts of the planning department who come together and provide comments and review on our planning products that are coming forward, and review them with an eye to whether we're really looking at them appropriately with an equity lens. So we also have staff who are in our research and strategic projects division who are working on that map that Mike Riley mentioned of being able to really map appropriately our equity focus areas and develop an equity opportunity index so that we'll be able to actually measure whether we're making positive strides in meeting some of our equity goals and objectives. We're coordinating with OLO, the Office of Legislative Oversight, on the racial equity and social justice statements for ZTAs and other kinds of legislation. We are working on the street renaming project, and we work very hard on Vision Zero. And I do want to just emphasize that we really do see Vision Zero as an equity issue. We think that many of our residents who are taking buses and walking on some of our most busy thoroughfares really need to have equitable treatment. It should be safe for everyone to walk to a bus stop, to be able to stand at a bus stop and not worry about being hit by a car, to walk to school and have a sidewalk to stay on or to bike on. So those things we think are a very important part of equity and are a big part of our focus. Next slide. We are, again, looking also at, I think what I've focused on is that we've been looking at a lot of very detailed kinds of plans and issues, but we're also looking at some very big regional transportation issues right now. We've taken on the I-270 Transit Functional Plan, which we're calling Corridor Forward. And that plan is meaning to look at holistically the most advantageous of the many master planned and speculative transit options that could improve accessibility for communities along the I-270 corridor, from Frederick to Point South, including Tyson's Corner and Washington, D.C. And we have made a lot of progress. We started off with about 13 different options, which have been studied by our consultants and ranked, and we are focusing in on 6 options for further study. If we could go to the next slide. These are the 6 items for additional study. And as you can see, each and every one of them is a significant effort. And we are about to really advance them into more detailed study and evaluation. We anticipate a planning board public hearing on this study in fall of 2021, and that you will be seeing this in winter of 2022. And again, we hope it will help direct how we prioritize some of the different transit options along I-270. Next. Speaking of I-270, we have been very actively participating in the I-270, I-495 managed lane study. I'm really pleased with how Carol Rubin on our staff has really taken a leadership role in this. I think has worked with the community, has worked with the state, has worked with a number of the council members who are interested in this project, and trying to figure out how to move the study forward while still maintaining the goals that we as a county feel are most important, and making sure that all of the communities that may be affected by this project have voice and have an opportunity to be heard. We're very aware that there's lots of discussion going on about this, and we're staying on top of it, and we're trying to again be an asset in helping focus this discussion. I mean, we have a specific interest in terms of our transportation goals and our park goals, but we also understand that there are a lot of moving parts, and that we want to be helpful in coordinating all of those moving parts. And I think we have been, and we will continue. Next. In the midst of all of this, we continue our regulatory work. As Chair Anderson mentioned at the outset, we actually had more regulatory cases in the last year than in the year before. So during this time of virtual meetings and COVID, where we've been isolating, we have still, through telework, managed to review an enormous number of regulatory cases. These are some in the Down County. There's a project called Irby in Silver Spring, which is between Fenton and Georgia Avenue. We have a great daycare center, the Martha Godalski Child Development Center, which has recently been approved. Park Montgomery, which is one of the very first projects in Long Branch, that is going to be a great project because it is not only going to produce new affordable housing, it is going to preserve existing affordable housing on same site. And it's, to me, a model project. And we've continued to review and approve really wonderful projects in Bethesda that are raising the quality of architecture, that are providing housing, that are providing great offices, great public art, and continue to make Bethesda the great place that it is. Next slide. We also have a lot of regulatory projects that are not in the Down County. We have had a wonderful new building at Pike and Rose, an office building, and there's also work going on to create some biotech buildings in the same general part of Pike and Rose. So we're very excited about that. We've had a great project, College View Campus in the Germantown area, the Wilgus project, which is in the area just north of Pike and Rose. And we have had some single-family house developments in Clarksburg, including Creekside on the west side of I-270 and Ashford Woods on the east side of I-270, each of which are being done with 25% MPDUs, and these are 25% for sale MPDUs, which are, as we all know, rare as hen's teeth. And we are so excited that we are going to, again, provide not only some housing choice of single-family detached houses in the Clarksburg area, which is what that area is zoned for, but moderately priced dwelling unit for sale single-family homes. And so we think that's a real win-win. Next slide. So, again, it is overwhelming, and I always feel sort of embarrassed after going through this whole presentation to sort of put this list out. There are so many projects I haven't even had a chance to talk to you about. So I'm putting them on this list. Some of them are ones I've talked about, but others, like the pedestrian master plan, which is an amazing project, our retail and diverse communities study, our mixed use development study. These are all projects being worked on by the planning department. And I guess just to sort of reiterate what the chair said at the outset, even though we have been in unusual working situations for the last year, we have been moving ahead full steam. We are doing this with, we think, outreach that is as robust, if not more robust, than what we were able to do when we were meeting in person. And we are excited about what's to come. The final image, if we could go to that, is our work program for fiscal year 22. You will be seeing this in our fiscal year 22 budget proposal, but it lays out the schedule for all of the projects that we've just been talking about. And that is my last slide, and I guess we can go to questions for both planning and parks.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Terrific presentation by both of you. My son was watching and just informed me we need to buy a rhododendron apparently as well. And congrats on the good news about the bond bills in particular. I've been an advocate for a long time that we need to ask for more from Annapolis and really help our lawmakers understand the projects we want them to go to bat for. So kudos to you for doing that, and congrats and thanks to our lawmakers for bringing home all that money this year. I'm definitely as thrilled as you are, I think, about the White Oak Rec Center. And thanks so much for your work for Acorn Park. It's been a great success, wildly popular, and I think shows the need for even more attention and investment in South Silver Spring. Very excited about the work you pointed out on the Down County elementary schools. I have a couple questions. I'll wait for my colleagues as well. But Ms. Wright, I wanted to thank you for all your work and your staff's work on the Silver Spring sector plan. That's been terrific, and all that community engagement is very, very much appreciated. Okay, Chairman Reamer.
Thank you, and I'll try to be very brief because I know we've already just exceeded the time set aside for this section. There's so much here. Thank you to everyone. Great work. Always a highlight to get this presentation on both the parks and the planning side. I'll just make a very brief comment or observation. I didn't hear from Mr. Riley. I didn't hear a date for the ribbon cutting grand opening for Henson. You said that it's open to the public as of April 23rd. I know we had to postpone it, but I know everyone's looking forward to that grand day. So please, I assume you're still planning it. You just didn't say that. You can probably just give me a thumbs up or whatever. But it's exciting. Thank you. And I want to follow up down the road, but I think we could use a planning exercise around solar, just generally, like where we have land that we could use for solar. I've been fairly inspired by what's happening right now, the conversation with Washington Grove, which I thought was pretty innovative, asking for a community solar project. And I think it, points to the possibility of a broader planning exercise and strategy there. So I just wanted to put that in your ear, and we'll follow up, subsequently. And thank you for grabbing the reins on the attainable housing project. It's a really important issue. It's a very difficult one. I have to say I'm sort of a little disheartened by the tenor of some of the conversation that I'm seeing. There's a lot of neighborhoods that have historically been very supportive of smart growth and development, and are finding, it seems like the public conversation is not very comfortable. And I am a little concerned about bringing the temperature down and, trying to find a way forward that is, practical and will bring some results, and at the same time try to keep everybody moving forward with our focus on smart growth. And for example, I think of Woodside, and the council just zoned the county property for significant more development where the HHS facility is. And, historically, we would do something there that would be substantially affordable, 50%, maybe even 100% affordable. I think that we want to have a community environment there that is embracing and supportive to that. And I think that, the tenor of the conversation around the Silver Spring plan is a factor. And let's just try to keep everybody kind of moving in the same direction. And we're looking to you to provide some thought leadership, of course, and community engagement on this really very difficult but important topic. So thank you for picking that ball up. I appreciate it. That's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. President. And wow, great presentation, great update. You guys have been so busy, and really appreciate it. Couple of thoughts and comments, and I guess a general question. Very excited to see the slide on how you are working through the issues of equity. Earlier today, we got a presentation about our budget and overview, and we also have now a new council staff person that is going to be working on these issues as we go through our budget. So it's awesome, and I am so appreciative that you have also proactively included this as something that we very much wanted to make sure we included in our legislation. And so it's super exciting to see how you're approaching that aspect. Everything was great, and I look forward to many of the subsequent sessions to discuss, more issues in detail. But the one piece that I needed to share is that, as you are working on the Fairland and Briggs Cheney master plan, which is in District 5, but it's an area that I represented when I was first elected to the council. I do think that it's really important to frame it through this lens of equity, while taking into consideration that, access to opportunities, mainly amenities, jobs, has to be sort of the lens, because there's already been, some communication to us from folks from the broader area who are really concerned about, for example, what's going to happen in Viva White Oak, and they are concerned that the executive has talked about focusing on White Flint, for example. They feel that that takes away from what we had all committed to do in that area. Well, that's tied to access to jobs and, and opportunities to bring more amenities and things of that nature. And so I just want to make sure that as, this is being framed, that through this lens of equity and preserving affordable housing and things like that, that we don't miss also the important component or vision around being able to also set the environment through planning to promote, the possibilities for jobs, for, amenities, for things of that nature, to balance this, because it's just been a very long-standing, I think, issue in that sort of mid-east part of the county that we're still trying to address. So I look forward to all of the other things that are happening, and including this particular plan, if I'm still here on the council. That just felt that, it was important to just share that with you from the onset as you began to work on some of those broad parameters. And as you said, engaging with some of the universities, et cetera, I think that will be really critical to incorporate.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Glass.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Excellent presentations. And I would say to Ms. Wright, I was still with you on your presentation. So I don't know how you and Director Riley, coordinate who goes first, who goes second, or, you rotate, during the semi-annual reports, but we were all with you, so thank you. I'm not quite sure where to begin, but I'll just say that whether it was the open streets that were developed and allowed to open over the last year, the hiking trails and the weekend outings nearby. Over the last 2 consecutive weeks, I was at Brookside each weekend, first checking out the cherry blossoms and magnolias, and then now the tulips. And I'm excited to see what'll be out there next weekend or the weekend thereafter. And then, as Director Riley showed in his presentation, the South Silver Spring pit fires and such. It was a great year for the parks and for residents of Montgomery County. To be able to get out of our houses and apartments and to see people in a safe, enjoyable manner. And so kudos to Director Riley and your entire team and the planning board for helping provide that vision as well. I think every single person needed the experience and enjoyed it, because everywhere I went, there were lots of people there. And so again, my hat's off to you. And then Ms. Wright, for the work that is ahead, whether it's the downtown Silver Spring plan and the engagement that is part of that. And we all see that engagement, and that engagement is in the emails and the Zooms and the social media. So I know that you all are hard at work. Engaging the community and getting as much feedback as possible. And I look forward to seeing what's there. But then also, as Councilmember Navarro just said, I too am particularly interested in the Fairland and Briggs Cheney plan to see how we really focus on equity and then focus on the unique needs and challenges of that particular part of Montgomery County. So a lot of work to do there, but I hope you're visionary in it. I hope that you take this opportunity, recognizing that you have the support of all of us to do right in a community that might have been overlooked in years or decades past. And so big plans ahead. I look forward to seeing all that. But again, I just want to extend my appreciation for everything that you've all been able to do, because given all the challenges, you've all stepped up. And I know people recognize it and appreciate it, as do I. So thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I'm glad there's so much interest in the Fairland Briggs Cheney plan. I had just texted my staff suggesting we do some sort of town hall up there like we did on the Veers Mill plan. And I think my staff are reaching out to Parks planning staff right now. So glad there's so much interest from my colleagues, and I hope we can make that happen. Councilmember Friedson.
Yeah, well, I have interest in the Fairland plan because the planning board chair took me mountain biking through the Fairland Trail, and I am hoping that any video or physical picture evidence is not shared with the public on my prowess or lack thereof on a mountain bike for the first time ever. But it's a great facility and a wonderful community. I look forward to that effort as well. I said most of my piece about the parks and trails and all of my appreciation. I see planning board member Natalie Fanning-Gonzalez here. Great to see you as well. So I will hold off on that. I did want to just add to the comments about the Josiah Henson Museum in particular. I had the really great privilege to be able to go tour it with my dad. It would have been nice to have a big, huge, grand opening, but it was really special to have a quiet, private, socially distanced opportunity to experience it with my father. And I just want to appreciate the staff there that did such a tremendous work. I toured it while it was being constructed, and some of the archaeological work that was being done to have the connection of some of the things that were found on the property incorporated into the history of one of the most important figures in our county's history and our country's history, a true freedom fighter. It just it gave me chills, and I just wanted to thank you for that. I can't wait till my nieces and nephews and every young person in Montgomery County has a chance to visit that facility as part of the school system, and it will just be an absolute credit to our past and to our commitments to telling real stories of real people from our county's history. So I just wanted to thank you for that. Really appreciate and look forward to the bench and statue at Shirley Povich Field. I bumped into Bruce Adams recently, former council member, and he is, like with many projects at Shirley Povich Field, very actively involved in that, I know, and he was lighting up telling me about that project. I look forward to that, and I'm really excited about the Brookside Gardens bequest that you mentioned. Can't wait to see that remarkable world-class facility put those private funds to work to continue to provide the crown jewel of the park system. And then really excited about the Power Line Trail, the Willow Branch Greenway, and some of the other projects that were secured through our state delegation, and really just can't wait to see that go to work. Just quickly on the planning side, just wanted to particularly thank the Advancing the Pike District work. Carrie Sanders and her team have really done a great job. I know we have a Fed committee briefing coming up. I'll save all of my comments, questions, excitement for that, but I just think that there's a lot of opportunity there. Just wanted to broadly express my appreciation to that. The pedestrian master plan and the Vision Zero commitments, really look forward to those efforts. And I just wanted to lastly, really looking forward to the equity opportunity index that was mentioned here. I'm really excited to be able to dive into those issues. Appreciate all the leadership on the council of Councilmember Navarro, and at the planning board of Natalie and so many others in moving this work. And I just think it's such an important part of these efforts, and really excited to be able to dive into the details of what you come up with that work. So thank you. I'll leave it at that, and just wanted to, again, express my appreciation for the tremendous work that you're doing. I think during this pandemic, Park and Planning has offered a lot of light in dark times to what is ahead in economic development and what is available in terms of recreation and fresh air and mental health and physical well-being. And I just really appreciate you providing that light in a challenging time for so many of our residents.
Thank you. Council Vice President Albornoz.
Thanks. I'll be quick. I know we're over. Just didn't want to miss the opportunity to thank both of you and your incredible teams for all you're doing. Councilmember Friedson, I appreciate your efforts as lead on the council to Park and Planning. I think that it has been an extraordinary year. There have been a lot of silver linings, and a number of the policies that we've stumbled upon, I think, are really best practices that we're going to want to continue beyond the pandemic. Closing down many of our parks to cars and having the walkability and it's been great. And I wanted to really underscore and appreciate, Director Wright, your comments about pedestrian safety being a racial equity issue. Oh my God, yes, amen. That is so true. And I know that Commissioner Natalie Fanny Gonzalez has been doing an outstanding job in making sure that a diverse set of voices are heard. And Councilmember Navarro set up a Proyecto Cívico a number of years ago, and I know a lot of those folks testify specifically regarding parks issues and walkability issues, because these are the issues that most directly impact our communities. And it's what we can touch, what we can feel, what we can see. And so it's so invigorating and important on so many different levels to see progress in these areas, because that's when communities feel heard. And it has long-lasting impact beyond just Park and Planning, but in people's commitment to engaging in government generally. So you are a gateway for many members of our community to get engaged in these discussions in a way that's meaningful and authentic. And we have seen clear evidence on this council that that has extended to engagement in other areas. So you're raising all boats, which I think is really great. And my final just thought is, both of you represent in many ways what's best of Montgomery County. And I know that there is active partnership with our Tourism Bureau and the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, but this is such a selling point to businesses, to people looking to move into our area. And I think you have a really terrific communications and marketing team. Your slides are always better than anyone else's slides when you come and present to us. And that's not a coincidence. And so I do think there's an opportunity for us as we're building back and trying to attract economic development and livability, that you all be more of a focus moving forward in that selling of Montgomery County as a destination spot. So I know you're already working on those areas, but just want to put a plug in for that too. So thank you all so much. Appreciate your leadership and look forward to the ongoing conversations.
Thank you. Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I too will be quick. I wanted to thank everyone for all that they do. You do a difficult job and you make it look easy. And of course, that's part of what happens to many people in Montgomery County. We take it for granted. But I know that you each do a terrific job. And not only the people on this screen, the people who are out there cutting the grass and doing all the work, the additional work as well. I did want to take just a moment to second what the chair of the Fed committee said about endorsing community solar for Washington Grove in particular. I know that there's ongoing conversations. I know that the parks, their thought is that we need parks for the parks, and we agree with that. But I think that there's a great possibility that we too can do it all. So I hope those conversations will continue so that we can find a path forward for community solar for Washington Grove as well. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. A couple final thoughts I had. I don't know if Ms. Dunn has, Councilmember Rice, are you trying to get in or are you just waving? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, my phone's been acting up. I apologize. So one of the things that I think that all of you touched on, something that's incredibly important, is the continued challenges that we face when it comes to utilization amongst our communities of color for all of these aspects. And all of these things are great in being provided, but unless they're utilized by our communities of color, it is yet another opportunity to then extend that divide that continues to exist. And so the programming aspects are something that are incredibly important in what it is that we do with our parks. And I gave a lot of thought to a lot of the aspects that and a lot of the accoutrements that we have in the Up-County. When I think about Black Hill Regional Park and what goes on there and what we can do in terms of programming, I look forward to having more conversations with you guys about how we can institute that, because having them there is the start, right? And so they're in communities close by, transportation linked, all the things that you would think would get us there in terms of having the utilization be as diverse as we'd like it to be. The reality is that, and we see this across the country, this isn't just here in Montgomery County, this is across the board. And so it really is about that intentional programming, understanding that the programming is what will bring more of our communities of color out to do these kinds of things. So just having the amenity there is one thing, but understanding that while mountain biking is great, mountain bikes cost $500, and sure, you could buy a cheap mountain bike at Walmart for $100, but the reality is that those kinds of sports are geared towards people who are more affluent and who have the ability to be able to afford them. And so being on a $99 mountain bike from Walmart isn't good for a lot of the trails that we have. In fact, it makes it even harder for you to go and try and navigate. And unless you're dealing with a trek or a rally or something like that, then you're stuck trying to do other kinds of things. And so I just really think that we need to continue to think about those next steps, about how we can continue to incorporate our communities and working with our communities, talking with our faith-based communities, right? About having them institute programming in our parks, right? Because they're a great representative of our communities of color and have a way to say, hey, I want all of the congregation to come out. We're going to meet at so-and-so park, and we're going to have a fun time and bring everybody together, and bring your kids and bring your grandparents and, get everyone together and have a fishing day. One of the greatest things in Triadelphia Lake that I did was the WSSC fishing derby. And still to this day, my mother has a trophy because she was one of the ones, she got like third place or whatever. But it was one of the biggest things for her as a huge fisherman. And so it's one of those things where, again, in our communities, there are ways in which we can program to bring folks out. And so I think that that's the next step for us. We built it. We've placed it in areas that are incredibly convenient for folks. We've attached transportation to it. Now we've got to take that next step of making sure that we have the programming there, and then we can achieve that true diversity that we're all seeking. So just wanted to give that as food for thought.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fanny Gonzalez, did you have anything you wanted to chime in before?
Oh, thank you so much. I love coming to the semi-annuals, and just because I want to hear from you. And I'm going to follow up with Councilmember Craig Rice, if you don't mind. I'll follow up with you and someone from Parks on your comments. I think you're right, and we want to do the right thing. So I'll do that. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Okay, well, thanks, everybody. Just a couple final thoughts I had. One, could somebody send us the slides? Because this is terrific, and we want to make sure to share it. Okay, maybe Pam has it. Thank you. Two, I love the new idea I heard about a pilot bike lane on University Boulevard. We'd have to get Councilmember Navarro's permission as well, but that could connect Wheaton to Northwood to Four Corners, add a lot of connectivity, would really fit in with a lot of our plans. Third, has Parks gotten any word from Gaithersburg, Rockville, and Tacoma Park in terms of working together to address equity emphasis areas for parks and green space?
So we're just kicking off our long-range pros plan, and I know we do have some level of coordination with the municipalities, but I'll have to take time to get you a better answer than that.
Okay, thanks. I look forward to it. Fourth, I've heard from a lot of residents recently in the Northwood community who understandably are very supportive of having a real grass field there instead of an artificial turf field. They're eager to work with park staff and MCPS to make that a reality. I'd love to support that as well. So anything we can do to push that forward, would love to try to be helpful. And fifth, I finally want to echo, Gwen, your shout out to Carol Rubin, who's done amazing work on the 495-270 project. She's become the leading expert in the state, huge resource for all of us. She's a game changer, and definitely keep her on the payroll. So thanks to everybody for all your good work. Really appreciate it. We look forward to the budget hearings and your next semi-annual report.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a work session on WSSC's FY 22 to 27 CIP. There's a packet before you. On March 8th, the T&E committee took up the FY 22 to 27 CIP for WSSC. Unlike other county agencies, CIP proposals are reviewed biannually. The council takes up WSSC's CIP every year. The T&E committee recommended preliminary approval of the WSSC water CIP and information-only projects as proposed by WSSC. And I'll let Mr. Levchenko go into the staff packet. Please keep in mind, Keith, that we're quite behind schedule. So we want to, I think this is relatively non-controversial.
Sure. And just to clarify, the committee recommended approval of the WSSC CIP and information-only projects with their mid-cycle update incorporated. And we can talk about that in a minute. The mid-cycle update included the suspension of the advanced metering infrastructure project, yes. Which was actually a pretty significantly sized project. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. But and tried to summarize the cover page of the packet provides some of the basic numbers I'm going through now, just to give you a decent summary of the budget. With the mid-cycle update incorporated into the numbers, WSSC's request was about $3.8 billion for the 6-year period. And that's, once again, that's including formal CIP projects, but also all of their other infrastructure projects that are debt financed or alternatively financed, but not technically capital projects. So it does include a whole range of for instance, smaller diameter pipe work. So that $3.8 billion is about $102 million increase from their approved, which is about a 2.8% increase. And as the council will be taking up the operating budget, relatively soon, it is important to note that debt is a major portion of WSSC Water's operating budget. And so we are very cognizant that as we've ramped up a lot of infrastructure work over the past decade, that has put some pressure on the operating budget in terms of corresponding debt service. So the last few years of the CIP actually have seen smaller, more tempered increases, and that's partly a reflection that we're trying to keep debt service. The formal numbers, we try to keep it within about 40% of their budget. That sounds high, but they're a very capital-intensive agency, and we've been able to live with that for a number of years, but we are trying to stay within that number. When we pick up the operating budget, we'll also be looking at a multi-year financial plan that looks at some of those metrics as well. Within the CIP, there are 11 new projects. They total about $82 million in spending. 4 of these projects are actually in Montgomery County or serve the bi-county area. Included in those are a couple of projects for Viva White Oak. These are developer-funded projects, both water main extensions and sewer main extensions to serve that development. And then there's also a number of pump station upgrades required throughout the system, mostly in Prince George's County where many of these stations are, but also at their largest pump station. It's called the Anacostia 2 project. That happens to be the largest or one of the largest increases in the CIP is for that project. It's about a $23 million project in the 6-year period, and that serves both counties. That's a very large pump station. It has average flows of about 50 to 60 million gallons per day, and peak flows as high as 260 million gallons per day. So just another reflection of some additional upgrade work that WSSC is moving forward with. Most of the CIP is supported by WSSC bonds, although there are some significant growth-funded projects as well. I mentioned the Viva White Oak projects, but there's a whole sprinkling of other developer-funded projects in both counties. In Montgomery County, those tend to be in the upper county area, like Clarksburg, but they're spread out, and they are basically on the developers' schedules. Developers are paying for those projects, and they move forward when they're ready to move forward. There is one wrinkle to the SDC that I wanted to mention that we talked at committee. A bi-county work group is looking at the structure of the credit and reimbursement program to developers for when they build infrastructure serving more than just their immediate development. Looking at both the payback period for this work as well as the geographic requirement for using SDC revenue. Just the short answer here is that work is ongoing and it will come back to both councils when it's ready. But that could involve some decisions about whether to increase SDC rates over time to provide a little bit more flexibility to pay back developers on some of these projects. We are seeing a trend towards more infill development, and that creates some complications with regard to the payback. So stay tuned on that. There's also a bi-county work group looking at new approaches to making extensions more affordable for properties that are within the planned sewer service envelope, both in Montgomery and Prince George's. Right now, those extensions are extremely expensive, and we have a lot of properties that are eligible to be served, but just cannot afford to connect, some of which may even have failing septic systems and are just limping along. So that's another area we've been looking at for a number of years, and we're hoping to provide some closure to that in the near future. I've also noted in the packet that basically WSSC has about 10 projects, the Blue Plains projects, and then 8 other WSSC projects that make up about 85% of WSSC spending. So they've got some very large projects in the CIP, and this is where we see most of the discussion about the pace of work, mandates, and the real impacts in the community. And these range from the small diameter water and sewer projects to the larger diameter water and sewer projects, as well as the ongoing Piscataway Bioenergy Project, which we can talk about more if you like, and also the Potomac Consent Decree Program Project at the Potomac Water Treatment Plant. So these are major, big projects, ongoing projects that are taking up a lot of the debt capacity right now in the WSSC CIP. The one project I mentioned earlier as part of the mid-cycle update, the Advanced Metering Infrastructure Project, that was also a pretty significant project in the CIP. Last fall, the commissioners opted to suspend this project over concerns about cost increases in it. So that project right now is suspended. However, at the committee work session, there was discussion about trying to achieve some of the benefits from that and looking at ways to achieve some of the cost savings and operational efficiencies. So that issue, I think, will continue to be looked at in the future. But within this CIP, that project was suspended. With that, I guess I think I want to really open it up to WSSC if they have some comments they'd like to make, some initial comments, and then if there are particular projects of interest that council members would like to discuss further. But just to reiterate, the committee supported the WSSC CIP as proposed, including the mid-cycle update that came a couple of months ago. So with that, I'll see if Ms. Reed or anyone else in WSSC senior leadership would like to provide some thoughts.
I don't want to miss the opportunity to say hello to President Hucker and the council members of Montgomery County Council. Really appreciate your ongoing and continued support of WSSC Water and all of the projects that we are implementing on behalf of our customers, making sure that we continue our track record of 0 water quality violations. We are 102 years straight with that great track record, and everything we do is geared toward making sure we're strategic about implementing our budgets and the programs that will continue to have us operate as a world-class water utility. So with that, I say thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Thanks to you and your staff and all the commissioners for your hard work. For our residents and ratepayers, Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Council President. I just had a quick question related to the advanced metering infrastructure project. In particular, over the past couple of months, much more than normal, we've had a huge number of complaints from constituents about higher than normal WSSC bills. And we've noticed a lot of chatter on local listservs and on Nextdoor and on social media about similar complaints. I appreciate the fact that my office has been working with WSSC staff on a weekly basis in your billing unit to try to work through these individual issues. It seems like a broader issue than just the regular human error that we have come to see on a regular basis. My understanding of the smart meter project, one of the goals of that project was to eliminate some of these issues and some of the challenges with misread metering and problems with billing, to try to streamline that process. With the fact that this project is now going to be sidelined, I am concerned about the issue related to constituents and their bills and repeated issues that may be coming up with that. As you look to the next steps for that program and figuring out where it's going to go from here, are there any interim steps you can take or are taking in order to address some of these billing and meter reading issues that seem to be a challenge and a problem? Because this was the solution to that problem. The solution is now being delayed, and I am concerned of where this leaves residents and where this leaves us as we work this out on a case-by-case basis. The response had been they're implementing a program to try to fix these problems, and now the answer is they're delaying the solution that they had proposed in order to fix these problems. So are you able to share with us what the plan is there?
Yes, actually, I'm going to turn to our Chief Financial Officer, Patty Callahan, to give you some of the responses to that question. those are real challenges that you mentioned. And Patty, I will turn it to you to.
Thank you. Thank you, Carla. For the record, Patty Callahan, Chief Financial Officer. I'll reference a few of the real benefits that we were counting on from AMI, and then I'll pass it to Jay Price, who is the Deputy General Manager of Operations, so he can add to that. If we had AMI in place, we would have had access to near real-time water usage information. So our customers, would have received alerts, information to manage their water use. There would have been an enhanced ability to conserve water because, again, they could watch their usage. Our meters would be more accurate. There'd be more accurate reads for them. And we were wanting to work towards, of course, monthly billing because smaller bills are easier for our customers to manage. But also it reduces estimated bills. And I think part of what's the challenge for our customers is you can have a lengthy time in between bill reads sometimes because it's difficult to get to those meters. So if you could have your AMI, you would be able to have reduced estimated bills. It would reduce our field staff time. There's some leak detection capabilities with that. And of course, we could decrease our water quality.
I appreciate it. Mr. President, I just hope maybe we could get a report back on what's going to happen in the meantime. I don't know that we need to take up more time here. I understand, what the project was going to do. I think my concern is that these seem to be a bigger concern now than they had been before, particularly in the last couple of months. It's not fair to residents that get, skyrocketed bills and have to work through them with everything else going on. I just hope that as this is being delayed, that there's an interim plan in place to be able to address some of these challenges. And if that could be shared with the T&E committee or with the full council, I would appreciate it. I don't want to take up any additional time more than necessary.
Councilmember, I know we're behind. I don't want to use up time pitching the argument for AMI. We've all heard that over and over and over. What is the backup plan? Councilmember Friedson asks a very good question.
I'm going to pass to Joe, maybe to Jay Price, if he could maybe speak to that point.
Sure, Patty, I'll be glad to. I'm Jay Price, Deputy General Manager for Operations. One of the problems we have right now, we're short on meter readers. We recently had 7 openings. We selected 5. Once they went through background checks, we were down to 2, and one of them left within a few weeks. So we're a little bit short on staff. That's about 20% of the meter readers right now that we're down. So it makes it tougher to get the meter reads, which means longer billing periods. Instead of being normal 90 days, sometimes they're 110, 120. So if you divide the total water bill by the number of days, the usage is about the same, but they're coming in looking much higher.
So why is it hard, Jay, to hire meter readers in the middle of a recession?
It's the toughest job we have, I'll be honest with you. They walk up to 10 miles a day. They're having to deal with dogs, snakes, bugs, nasty customers sometimes. It's a tough job. It's a very, very demanding job, and they are outside no matter what the weather is.
So do you have an answer to what's the backup plan if there's not an AMI program?
We are also looking at helping out with the meter read, just to finish that up, looking at possibly hiring some part-time help or a contract to help us get caught back up on meter reads.
But that's not really a long-term solution. We really do need to, work on what the long-term solution is, because these problems that AMI was intended to address there's really not a whole lot of other solutions that will address those things. Like meter readers are the position that we have the biggest turnover in. And it's the hardest job, as Jay described, in terms of some of those challenges. We had looked at, having a contract to do meter reading. That will be a temporary fix as well, and it costs money to do that. So we really need to be figuring out how we can expedite the implementation of the advanced metering infrastructure project.
What's the starting pay for a meter reader?
I think the starting pay is around $16, $17 an hour, just roughly off the top of my head.
Maybe it should be higher if you're having trouble finding them.
I think that we could go as high as, I don't know, what's reasonable in terms of, I think we're very competitive with respect to what other meter readers are making. And that's the way we base our salaries, on what the market demands. And I'm sure we're at the market rate already.
Could you comment? I mean, this Councilmember Friedson's question has a lot to do with leaky service lines, right? And a lot of we're getting so many of the same complaints in my district, and I'm sure all my colleagues are. Can you make anybody share any comments on how you plan to use is there service line replacement funding available through the American Rescue Plan?
Monica, can you speak to that?
Yes. So are you speaking about the service line from where our responsibility ends to the property, to the actual property? Because we do have a program already in place. It's Pipe ER, where homeowners are eligible to apply for assistance with that regards. So we have all that information. We can forward that to the council as well. I know we've shared that with you in the past with our staff. We've provided a resource guide which included the details on that program, and we're happy to assist with providing that information. So that is something that all residents are eligible to apply for.
Okay.
WSSC also does have a one-time bill forgiveness program for customers that have an exceedingly high bill that's just inexplicable. They can go through a process at WSSC Water to have that bill reduced. But once again, that's sort of an after-the-fact fix. It doesn't really address the core issue that Councilmember Friedson was talking about, which is sort of a steady stream of unusually high bill complaints.
And if I could just chime in, we have always dealt with, I know all of our offices do, with the occasional constituent who has an absurdly high bill that is way outside of the ordinary. There's some issue, either a human error or a leak or some other issue. That is standard, that we all deal with. We work through with them through the regular process, help them with that. What I'm pointing out is over the last couple of months, the number of those absurdly high bills seems to have skyrocketed. It's exponentially larger than anything that we have experienced. We've noticed that in constituent outreach to us. We've seen it in social media and neighborhood listserv chatter, and clearly there is an issue here that needs to be resolved. And if the original answer that we were getting is the smart meter is going to solve this, if that's being delayed, what I'm trying to raise here is we need to have an intermediate step to seriously address that. Up to this point, it doesn't seem like there is a real solution to that issue, and I don't think that it is fair to just allow for residents to receive these huge bills, cause that kind of disruption, require them to go through a fairly laborious process in order to get it fixed. We've got to do better by the residents we serve, and right now I don't think that we're doing as well as we could or should. So that I just wanted to raise that and yield back to you, Mr. President.
No, thank you. And to be even more precise, the AMI was never intended, I think, to really even solve the problem. I'd use a different verb, just to identify the existence of the problem. You still need to actually seal up the leak that might be causing the excessively high bill. Right? So, Ms. Reed, do you have any information on the federal funding that's available that's gotten a lot of attention for service line replacements and helping our residents access? What additional funding are you receiving?
We haven't done it yet. Monica?
Yes, so a lot of the funding is going actually directly to the counties. So that's really what we're waiting on, is the guidance to come down. For example, like HHS hasn't provided the guidance yet for that funding. So we are hopeful to get that guidance in the coming weeks. But again, everything is a pass-through, which is the biggest challenge. So any money that comes to the states, comes to the counties, would be a pass-through. So that's where we're looking to partner with each individual county to make sure that comes to us directly. But we have not gotten word of exactly how that would happen.
From state HHS?
From the federal.
You mean from federal?
Yeah. So it comes from the federal, and then that guidance is provided to the state and counties. Yes.
Right. Okay. So you're waiting for federal guidance from USHHS. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, we're happy to partner with you. Have your government relations folks been in touch with ours in the congressional offices on this?
Very closely. We work hand in hand with all of your offices. Yes.
When do you expect the guidance?
So what we're hearing is it's coming. We're hopeful in the next coming weeks to get that. But again, your guess is as good as we work with our federal lobbying team is very closely as well to hear, but everyone is hearing the same thing, that it's coming. So until that comes down, we really don't have plans of how the distribution will take place or the allocations.
How much funding do you expect?
So there's individual pots, and there, as a total, for example, there is the increased funding for rehabilitation. There's also for the low income customer assistance program that's to be divided up amongst all the water utilities. So again, that exact amount has not been identified yet for each individual water utility.
Okay. Councilmember Rice.
So very, very quickly, I would just recommend that in the meantime, I know, have a hard to employ population, our returning citizens from Clarksburg Jail, who I know that our WorkSource Montgomery folks are working with, who would love to have jobs making $16, $17 an hour coming right out, regardless of having to walk around, deal with dogs, whatever the case may be, as they experience challenges with getting any kind of job. So Anthony Featherstone, who's leading that, I would love to connect you guys together because he's doing some great work. In fact, he just texted me or emailed me earlier today about something that they're doing with DOCR, with our Department of Corrections. And so from that perspective, in the meantime, this doesn't help with your end solution with AMI, but it certainly does in the meantime with a cohort of individuals who are looking for work, who I know could be easily trained when it comes to WorkSource, WorkSource does that training and works with employers like yourself in being able to have them ready to go. And so from that perspective, I would just put that out there as a suggestion in the meantime, while we're looking forward to moving forward with AMI. So
I think that's a great suggestion. Ms. Reed, if you could report back to us on the meter reader issue, and if you've hired any of our returning citizens, that would be really great. I think that would be good news we'd all look forward to.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. When I worked in Montgomery County, I worked closely with the jail, scanning permits. So yeah.
You know, there are plenty of people we have that are willing to walk and willing to work hard for $16 an hour. Okay, Council Member Reamer.
Thank you. I just wanted to just say, we talked about this issue at the committee a bit with the advanced meter infrastructure. I am assuming that no part of this decision is based at all in the conspiracy mindset emails that we get from those who, believe that an AMI, which is no different than any other device with a little bit of Wi-Fi as far as its health considerations, one device in the house is somehow a health concern. I'm assuming that was not a factor in this decision, and council staff shared that they thought that the issue was cost effectiveness was not there. If that is not correct, I want to know, and I certainly contemplated proposing that we restore this item to the WSSC budget because of its cost effectiveness. However, if it is not cost effective, then there'd be no reason to do it. So I just leave that as a, Director Reed, I would, perhaps we should jump on the phone and talk it through a little bit more. But I would like to get to the bottom of this because I am concerned that it could be that this is a response to a few dozen emails rather than a strong public policy decision. So I'll just say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify, Councilmember Reamer, the WSSC did a cost-benefit analysis most recently last fall for the AMI project, and the costs did go up primarily because there was a much more substantial meter replacement component because since the last study had been done a number of years ago, the meters had aged. So from the perspective of the current study, it made sense to do a much more sweeping meter replacement. So that increased the cost. That also, though, created some revenue because newer meters tend to read more accurately than old meters, and by accurate they tend to read higher. So that means a little bit increased revenue for WSSC. So that also played into the benefit side. But overall, the cost did go up, and the payback period did go up over a little bit longer period of time as well. But I didn't mean to suggest to you that there was not a payback, but the payback had been extended a bit from what the previous study had said, and the costs overall had gone up for the implementation. So that's sort of what came out of the study last fall.
And an important footnote to that is that the advanced metering infrastructure project was one of 2 projects in our capital improvements budget that had a payback. Most of the projects that Mr. Levchenko mentioned that had a high dollar value to them don't have a payback. They must be done for various reasons, but AMI and the bioenergy project were the 2 projects in our CIP that had a payback.
Okay, great. Well, I think a lot of this will have to continue, but if you could get back to us with some of the answers to the questions that were raised, that would be helpful. And we look forward to discussing it more in the future.
Chair Hucker, this is Crystal Knightley, Director of Customer Service. I did just want to jump in. I apologize. I did want to let Councilmember Friedson know that we have been in touch with all of the constituents that have reached out. There were roughly about 49 or 50. So I did want him to know, Councilmember Friedson, that we are following up with each individual customer to understand what their high bill concern is and to make sure there's resolution. So I did want you to know that we're doing that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember, do we have, if you don't have a list, if I could just briefly.
Yeah, we're at the end of it. So yeah, Councilmember Girondo.
Great, thank you. Ms. Knight, I appreciate that answer. If I did have a question, it was going to be that, because a lot of these folks will email all of us and give us their story about what has happened. And I just was looking at I was just looking at a few of them just now. What is roughly the number that you've identified that you've heard from?
Thank you. We have about 50, 25 in the Rockville area, about 17 in Bethesda. I have 2 in Silver Spring, 2 in Kensington, and 4 in the Potomac area.
Okay.
So some of the issues are a little different, but we're working with each customer to resolve.
And I'm assuming identifying what was going on and then refunding or doing whatever you need to do based on the investigation.
Absolutely. Our customer service advisors will walk through almost like a checklist of, have you changed your toilets? Have you looked at this? We'll go through everything to determine what the cause for the elevated consumption could be.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it's because of an issue, or it could be that there's more people in the home, more consumption, just due to more people being in the home.
Right. And obviously to the larger issue, to the people who aren't noticing or are not, aren't writing in, you have no way to know. And that's the conversation we were just having. So we've got to solve that. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, I share my colleagues' concerns and I appreciate you all coming before us and getting back to us with those answers. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Reed, are there any commissioners here that I failed to recognize, or just staff?
I believe the commissioners are watching the presentation. I don't believe they're on Zoom, Council President.
Sure. Often they join us, so just wanted to recognize them if they hadn't. Thank you all for your work on this. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a work session on the amendments to Montgomery College's FY 21 to 26 CIP. Let me recognize Education and Culture Committee Chair Craig Rice.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President, and I really want to thank our great leadership. The president of Montgomery College, Dr. Darian Pollard, as well as the leadership of the Board of Trustees of Montgomery College for always being very thoughtful and innovative in terms of the approaches that they come to us with when we're looking at how to greater expand opportunities for young people and adults who are looking to retool themselves or further their education. And it really is indicative in terms of understanding how flexible the college has been in terms of working with us. I also want to thank the Office of Management and Budget for all of their great work as well in trying to continue to partner with the college. And you'll see that we've had 4 suggestions and recommendations. I want to thank my colleagues on the Education and Culture Committee. By far, I feel the best committee. No offense to all the other committees. So with that, I want to turn it over to Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez to walk us through some of the decision points. I think we had our meeting in late February and then March. It's been a little while, but certainly one in which when we agreed unanimously as to what we wanted to do, which was defer one of the key projects, and you'll hear from Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez, this relates specifically to information technology. And we know right now, in the midst of COVID, in the midst of still having hybrid learning, and that probably entering into the fall, the last thing we want to do is cut information technology infrastructure for anyone, regardless of whether it's an education institution or any other entity in county government. And so from that perspective, I certainly wanted to turn it over to Dr. Pollard for any opening remarks, and then Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez can walk us through the packet. But I did want to pause for my colleagues first and see if my colleagues had any comments, and if not, we'll move to Dr. Pollard. Chair Navarro.
Just to say thank you, Chairman Rice. I know that we're way, limited in time, but just to really thank Montgomery College for what they continue to do in such an extraordinary fashion in being such a partner and an asset in our community. Thank you so much, and we will continue to do whatever we can to strengthen this partnership moving forward. Thank you.
And Councilmember Navarro, you actually reminded me of something that I didn't even think about. But when it came to setting up and establishing the mass vaccination site, it was at Montgomery College. And the information technology that was necessary to set that up and provide that infrastructure is a part of what we're talking about here. I know because my work with Dr. Stoddard and others from the state when it came to making sure that we had everything that we needed to have established for that particular site meant that we weighed heavily on the information technology department at the college. And so it certainly is one where Montgomery College continues to lead in terms of examples of how to be a great partner and to step up. So thank you, Councilmember Navarro. I didn't even think about that aspect, but that's another piece of it. So let me turn to Dr. Pollard for some opening remarks before we go to Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez. And Mr. President, should be very quick in terms of what it is that we need to do in terms of moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and certainly good afternoon to members of the County Council. I'll be so brief that I won't say too much. What I will offer to you just a few things. Like our operating budget requests, the capital budget is quite frugal. We only have one major new project underway, and that is the Leggett Building, using approximately $1.5 million of existing funds to help us take care of the FF&E. We're also very grateful that the county executive recommended fully funding the county share of that. We have also deferred our library renovation projects. Design is now set to start in FY22 instead of FY19. And then with our Germantown Student Services Building, we've pushed that out again to FY24. We're very grateful to the support of the council. We look forward to your helping to support us as it relates to the recommended recommendations that came out of the county executive's budget regarding deferred maintenance and IT. Bond reductions that we've had thus far, approximately $8 million, I think would negatively affect our deferred maintenance. You've all heard me speak on this as well. You've also heard me talk about the effect of this on our IT projects, given the fact that we are in the midst of a pandemic and that we're delivering our services and educational offerings primarily and mostly through technology. It is something that for us we see as both a short-term and a long-term implication if that were to happen. So with that, I'm happy to respond to questions on the other side, but I will gladly defer to Ms. Rodriguez, who can take us through the information you'd like to have.
Ms. Rodriguez-Hernandez.
Good afternoon, Council. Good afternoon, guests from Montgomery College and OMB. Thank you for attending today's work session. The college's amended six-year total CIP request was $295.6 million, and the county executive's recommended budget transmitted in January included a affordability reconciliation project totaling $9.4 million. On March 1st, the committee met to review the amendments in the county executive's recommendations, as well as the non-recommended reductions as submitted by the college to meet the county executive's affordability reconciliation project. As well, I'll start with the positives, and that is the committee approved all of amendments as requested by the college and supported by the executive. And as Dr. Pollard mentioned, a lot of those are technical amendments for several of the projects, and you can see those listed on the cover page of today's memo. And as Councilmember Rice, Chair Rice, also stated, the committee deferred action on a non-recommended reduction for the information technology project, which was $1.43 million in current revenue. And so we are going to review that again at the April 26th Operating Budget Committee session for the college, and in the meantime, discuss alternative funding sources, including federal funding and additional sources. The committee did approve the non-recommended reductions submitted by the college for all other items and endorse the priority list for restoration if funding allows during the final CIP reconciliation process.
So there you have it, Mr. President. You have the committee recommendations about the deferral of the $1.433 million in current revenue reduction for the information technology project. The others have been accepted. So that's what's before us as an E&C recommendation for the committee.
Terrific. Okay. I don't see any questions on this. Thank you all for your hard work on this.
And I think you might need a straw vote.
Yeah, and I don't know if it needs to be moved, but I'll just also say, as a current Montgomery College student who's using IT for their classes, I can endorse that they're using this money very well. So I said that in committee. I'll say that now. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Well, we have a committee recommendation. It's just listed as a work session, but sure. All those in favor of the committee recommendation, you can raise your hand, please. Great. That is unanimous. Okay. Thank you all. We have a recommended CIP. Look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you all. Take care.
Good to see you all. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. Next, we're sitting as the district council for our next item, which is a work session on the City of Rockville annexation request. Let me first recognize our staff analyst, Libu Ndu, who will walk us through this item. Libu?
Hi, good afternoon, council members. So this is an annexation request that came from the City of Rockville. First is an initial matter. You'll see an addendum at the end of the packet. The original staff report should have read that council staff recommends the property be rezoned to MXCD. So apologies for that typo. Real quick, before I go into the details, just a quick reminder that council decisions are kind of limited in annexations. So basically the way an annexation works is if the parcel in request is within the maximum expansion area or for the same zoning, then the county council can't actually prevent annexation. And usually if that happens, we wouldn't do a council action. But in this case, if the zoning changes, you basically have two options. So you can either veto the annexation, which delays the new zoning for 5 years, or you can give your express approval. So the City of Rockville is going to be doing a public hearing on May 17th, and then is scheduled to adopt this in August or September based on those approvals. So as background, the parcels to be annexed are about 12 acres, and they'd be going from Montgomery County into Rockville. It's a privately owned parcel. It's about 1.7 acres, and then additional 1.7 acres along 355. So the privately owned parcel is the King Buick property. So named because it's a King Buick GMC automobile dealership as well as a service shop, and that was all built before the current zoning in that location. Surrounding sites, there's a few parks. I think there's a dog park as well, an office building, a hotel, retail space, and a vacant lot, and then really important for this, there's actually a Montgomery County transfer station. So the King Buick lot actually abuts a 10-acre parcel also in Rockville. And there's a contract purchaser who wants to buy both properties and build a residential project. So that residential project is going to be made of townhomes as well as multifamily residences, totaling about 365 to 370 units, 15% of which will be moderately priced. And then, of course, there'll be utilities, public and private streets, open space, public use space. So the petitioner is requesting the Rockville MXCD zoning, which is a mixed-use corridor district. Currently, it is zoned general retail, which allows retail, commercial, and residential, so pretty similar. The council actually looked at the Shady Grove Sector Plan Minor Master Plan Amendment very recently, just last week. And at that time, the planning board draft plan had recommended it be zone CRT, which is our commercial residential zone, commercial residential town zone. And the planning board recommended approval, but with a couple edits. 3 of them, in fact. The first is having that approval be limited to 370 residential units and 2,500 square feet of non-residential development. And then a minimum right-of-way for Frederick Road, which is long 355, to be 150 feet, and then incorporate those design elements for the bus rapid transit project. And then lastly, to incorporate Vision Zero improvements, which I know you guys talked about earlier today, which includes a 6-foot landscape buffer and would limit the curb radii to 25 feet. As for the zoning itself, there are some differences between the county's GR zone and the city's MXCD zone, which includes the percentage of residential development, but those are minor enough that both planning board and planning staff didn't recommend vetoing the annexation, which would again delay the change in that zoning for 5 years. So Fed actually reviewed this as part of the Shady Grove Sector Plan Minor Master Plan Amendment on March 1st, and then the council adopted that last week. So staff recommendation is to give express approval with those noted comments. So the Vision Zero, the rapid transit, and then limiting the number of residential units. One of the main reasons being the zoning is not actually going to be too different. The uses are going to be about the same with mixed use and pedestrian oriented centers. In addition, it aligns with the county's goal of creating more housing near transit. So this residential project will create communities where people can walk from where they live, the train station, and then have other commercial things nearby.
Great. Councilmember Bremer.
Thanks. I just wanted to observe that we took this up through this, through the Shady Grove Minor Master Plan. Indirectly, wasn't the actual annexation, but we talked a lot about annexation in general, and we expressed support for this approach. And so the council has got a little history here, just in case anyone was wondering. We basically signaled our approval of this quite specifically through the Shady Grove plan, and I think it's a fine proposal. I think we'll get a good project. If it wasn't split zone, if it wasn't a situation where they might have to go through 2 planning processes separately, I would say, I would continue to say I don't think annexation is in the county's interest, but I think in light of the facts on the ground, I think it makes sense, and I support it.
Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I too support it. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense to go to the MXCD zone or mixed use zone that the city of Rockville, to match with the city of Rockville. This literally is adjacent. I mean, it's on the same side of the street. It actually abuts. It touches the properties that are in King Farm in the city of Rockville right now. And this makes a lot of sense. And I understand we're not going to vote on this today. We're voting on it next week. But I think that this is a very logical annexation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Friedson.
Yeah, I just quickly want to note, first of all, I support this and I think that it's a good direction to move. We didn't just talk about it in the Shady Grove Minor Master Plan. We actually started discussing this as part of the growth and infrastructure policy as we were discussing some of the impacts on the municipalities and the different boundaries of areas. So this has been significantly discussed at a variety of different Fed committee work sessions and at full council. And so I just wanted to note that it's had extensive review and think it's a good direction to head in. Thank you.
Sounds like it's very popular. Okay, I don't see any other questions or requests to speak, so I think we can move on. Thank you, Livu. Thank you, everybody that's worked on this. Next is our work session on the Department of Health and Human Services CIP amendments. Let me recognize HHS Committee Chair, Council Vice President Albornoz.
Thank you, Mr. President. This will be brief. Both of the items before the committee were supported unanimously, first by the HHS committee and then in a joint HHS and Education and Culture Committee session. The first item is good news, and I really want to give a lot of credit to the Department of General Services and the Department of Health and Human Services. We have accelerated the opening of our Avery Road Treatment Center, and while I'm looking forward to getting a tour, I haven't been able to stop by it yet. By all accounts, the project was done quite successfully and obviously provides critical services to our residents, and is important that it was accelerated in the way that it was. And the second item was a joint HHS and Education Culture Committee to discuss the recommendation of the county executive's recommendations for school-based health and linkages to learning centers, and that there be funds added for construction for a site at Neelsville Middle School and Southlake Elementary School. There was one discussion item that will carry over to the operating budget to make sure that there's sufficient funding to initiate the Wellness Center at the Seneca Valley High School, but that we will be visiting during the operating budget. So that gives you a little bit of an overview, and it was not controversial and was universally supported. Back to you.
Okay. Any questions on this? I don't see any requests. Okay.
And Ms. Yao, if I missed anything, please feel free to chime in.
I just wanted to say that we do have a representative from Maryland Treatment Centers, Megan Westwood, and if the council would like to hear an update, again, I think the facility opened very recently, and so an update is available if the council is interested.
I think the council seems very appreciative and supportive. Councilmember Rice, you look like you were trying to get in.
No, I was just saying that we could go ahead with approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So we have a committee recommendation. Thank you, Council Vice President Albornoz. All those in favor of the committee recommendation, please raise your hand. Terrific. We have a committee approved product here. Okay. Thank you all so much for your hard work on this. Keep up the good work. Really appreciate it. I now propose a closed session to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice pursuant to Maryland Code General Provisions, Article 3305B7, and to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation pursuant to Maryland Code General Provisions, Article 3305B8. The topic is a pending lawsuit arising out of a police complaint. Can I get a motion for the closed session, please? Councilmember Friedson moves. Councilmember Katz seconds. All those in favor of the closed session, please raise your hand. That is unanimous. Terrific. I will see you all soon in the closed session. Thank you.
21. Please watch out for school buses during your commute into work.